Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy, and I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We're in the King James Version of the Bible, and we are in Luke, the Gospel according to St. Luke. We are in chapter 21. It's 38 verses. We're doing the whole thing. So let's jump in. And he looked up and saw the rich men casting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting in thither 2 mites. And he said, Of truth I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast in more than they all. For all these have their abundance cast in unto the offering of God, but she of her penury hath cast in all the living that she had. It cost her more to give up those 2 coins because she has so much less. So she's giving from what she can't even really afford to give, as opposed to the people who are putting in a whole bunch of money, but it comes in from their abundance. Sort of like saying, he's like saying she takes it out of her gross and they take it out of their net. Right? And those are 2 different things. And as some spake of the temple, how it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts, he said, As for these things, and so in my brain, it's like, these things, it's pointing, these things which ye behold, the days will come, in which there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived. For many shall come in my name saying, I am Christ, and the time draweth near. But go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified of these things. Must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. So just because wars are happening doesn't mean the end of the world is coming. That's what he's saying right there. Because wars will happen, before the end of time. Just because somebody says they're Christ doesn't mean they are the Christ. And he's quite correct. I mean, the Romans would come and destroy the second temple, that they would be what they would be seeing. And it would be destroyed. There would eventually be archaeological evidence of Jewish people hiding in the tunnels and stuff underneath it. And that's because, remember, it's the second temple. So things weren't constructed exactly the same. They built as much on the foundation as they could, but some of that foundation was no good. So it's not like they could just pick up those stones and then put down new stones in the exact same place, because that disturbs soil that's over there, would not make for good resting. There's actually, because in the world of construction, there's a certain angle away from a footing that it needs to be undisturbed soil. So it's compacted already so as to hold the foundation firm. Otherwise, you're going to get cracks. That's very specific. Yes, I've spent the last, 26, almost 27 years. In a couple of weeks, we'll be starting year 27 in the design end of construction. Instead of being a tent maker, that's what I do. That's where I make the money. So, and I've literally had the job of drafting up that detail in certain parts of my career. So I know that that's how that works. So he's, of course he's right. He's the Christ, and he's quite correct. History does reflect that that's what he says. And then he said unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Been going on since the beginning of time. And great earthquakes shall be in divers places. So divers, where do divers go? Under the water. so on the ocean floor, so tsunamis will happen, and famines, and pestilence, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. But before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you. So you won't be alive to see any of this. Delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And it shall turn to you for testimony. Settle it, therefore, in your hearts, not to meditate before what ye shall answer. Don't worry about what you're going to say. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. I will make you make so much sense that they can't really argue with what you're saying. And ye shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinsfolk and friends. So this will upset the people around you who, just like they looked in Nazareth, looked at the Messiah and said, "Who are you to tell us these things?" Of course they're going to do that to his disciples. If they didn't trust in the Lord, how are they going to trust in us? And some, that's why he says when they reject you, they're not really rejecting you, they're rejecting him. And some of you shall they cause to be put to death. And that is absolutely true. The apostles do get killed in a variety of ways. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. That's true. Both the Romans, who didn't have any faith at that time in this stuff, they had only pantheon faith, and the Jewish people would then persecute, because the Jewish people were given a good deal by the Romans and allowed to just worship and not have to sacrifice or do anything to the Roman deities. The Romans firmly believed that Yahweh was the God of this land, because it's totally in their belief structure. And if they messed with them, they were going to have all kinds of problems, because the whole area has a long history of successfully rebelling against overseers. They had not yet, like Jesus eventually takes over the Romans, the Roman Catholic Church being that evidence of existence, did not yet happen. People were just impatient. They wanted him to conquer the Romans and throw them out. He conquers them, somewhere around the 1000s. I'm not saying so I feel very much so they were too Roman still, because they used violence and not peace and love. Jesus, peace and love, not violence. So when they separated themselves from Judaism, they separated themselves from the protection that Rome was giving the Jewish people to not have to sacrifice and do things to their deities. And they now became a cult. And if you weren't going to sacrifice to their deities, you could not sacrifice to this. These are the same people who thought it was okay to, as a party favor, cut off the skin and chunks of flesh of slaves, in their drunken, weird parties, and think that's funny. They invented crucifixion as a type of extreme, cruel punishment that did not exist in the time of David or Isaiah or any of the prophets who were talking about Jesus. They had to come up with this. That's why they don't use the word crucify. It didn't exist. They were not a gentle peoples. Okay. Ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but there shall not a hair of your head perish. In your pestilence, in your patience, in your patience, possess ye your souls. You need to have a patient soul. And when, for their pestilence especially, because they're going to keep up that nonsense. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Because the Romans will come in and completely surround and attack on all sides. And that does historically happen. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. Telling them to scatter. And let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. It's okay to go into the other places, which, Greece mainly. Because if you were to take a look at the cluster of the, when we get into the letters from Paul, where those are located, you see a trail in Greece. But these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck. So, nursing children, or pregnant women, or nursing women, in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people, because the Romans would be quite brutal in their destruction. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. All historically accurate. And sometime in that process, the Dome of the Rock was built over top of the Temple of Jerusalem. So that when you need the third Solomon's Temple, sure. After either world peace or World War III. Because you attack the Dome of the Rock and watch what happens in that religious war that we've been living in our entire existence. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity. People won't be able to understand what they're seeing. The seas and the waves roaring. So that you can expect to see geological results from things that are happening from space. That's how I word that. And that is a very true statement. I need you to understand. In the realm of science, and I went running from God into the world of science, and he just dragged my butt right back and plopped me right back into the Bible and said, I done told you this. Now you have a better understanding. Read it again. And read it to the people so that they can understand what I explain to you. Literally, everything that's over a certain size that's in space around our planet has to keep its gravitational, pull in exactly that speed, exactly that rotation. So everything in our solar system stays in exactly that way. Otherwise, it can start flinging asteroids around. And if the asteroids get big enough, it can start smashing into planets. And if it starts smashing into those things are going to collide into each other. Now, that is not the guaranteed way that we're going to go out. I can't say I know that. I'm saying that that's scientifically possible. Scientifically possible that the black hole that's way out in the middle of nowhere right now, in the outer edges of any of the known universes that space things are, NASA and all them are tracking, could wander into our solar system and we could all be spaghettified. That would definitely be the dark with the gnashing of teeth, because we would stay alive as we forever stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch. But I can't say that that is what is going to happen either, because I don't know that. Andromeda solar system, which is slowly moving into the Milky Way, could come together, and those suns could come together and create a giant neutrino explosion, blowing all our gold and all our metals and all our bacteria all over the universe until a bacteria hits into some planet and some new species grows there. But I don't know that either. It's just scientifically possible. All of that is scientifically possible, and all of that would have the results of the emotional and physical reactions that we would know. All of it works. Jesus wasn't told either. So, I mean, if God didn't tell the Messiah, he's not going to tell me. I just know that this is what this sounds like. Men's hearts failing them for fear. That planet-wide destruction would create some fear. For looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. Like if you're going to be taken, that's when they're going to take you. And he spake them a parable. Behold the fig tree and all the trees. When they now shoot forth, ye see and know for of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand. Like we look to nature to see what season we're in. So likewise ye, when ye see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. So the word of Jesus will be with us. Christianity will be with us until the end of the earth. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting, surfeiting, and drunkenness, and the cares of this life, so that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare shall come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. And in the day time he was teaching in the temple, and at night went out and abode in the mount that is called the Mount of Olives. And all the people came early in the morning to him in the temple for to hear him. I hope you'll join me tomorrow, friends, when we will start chapter 22. It's 71 verses, so it'll be done in 3 videos. Until then.